By the time most women get to this point in the series, they are ready to go all in. Heavy metals, molds, chemicals, all of it. And that determination, I love it. And here's what I see happen next. And I want to protect you from it. They jump into detox, and instead of feeling better, they feel worse, more tired, more foggy, more overwhelmed. And they start to wonder, is something wrong with me? I want to tell you right now, nothing is wrong with you, but the order matters. And today we're going to talk about why. If you've been following this series from the beginning, you know we've walked through each step on purpose. We start with hydration, then reducing what's coming into the body, then opening up elimination pathways, and then addressing infections. Every single one of those steps was preparing your body for this moment, because here's what I want you to understand. Your body doesn't just heal, it protects. And when we work with that design instead of against it, everything changes. So let's break this down. Here's what you need to know first. Most people think of detox as something you do for a weekend, a cleanse, a reset, done. But toxin exposure isn't just from last week. It came from your environment growing up, from decades of daily exposure, even from what you were exposed to before you were born. And that's how long the body can carry these things. And here's something really important. Your body actually hides heavy metals on purpose. It stores them in fat tissue, away from vital organs like the brain and your heart. That is not a malfunction. That is wisdom built into your design by God. So when someone runs standard blood work and says, everything looks normal, here's the reality. Blood only shows recent exposure, usually within 24 to 48 hours. And urine may only show what your body is actively already trying to eliminate. So you can have a significant toxin load and it simply won't show up in standard labs. That's not you being fine. That's a limitation of testing. Now, I want to mention something called provoking. This is where certain substances are used to force toxins out of storage so they show up on a test. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of that approach. If someone already has a high toxic burden, releasing too much at once can overwhelm the system, make you feel extremely sick. I've even seen people pass out from it. I personally had an experience very similar to that. That's not how I work with the body. We go step by step, gently and intentionally. So this brings us to testing. And I want to say something important here. I don't start everyone with advanced toxin testing. Even though I love the total tox burden panel, it's not where I begin. Here's what I've seen happen when we skip ahead. We spend more money than needed, we chase things that aren't actually the priority, and we miss the bigger picture. So I start with something I call the root cause landscape. It's a simple blood panel, and it gives us a powerful overview of what's actually going on in your body. It helps us to see hidden infection and stress patterns, how well your cells are making energy, and whether your body is actually using the nutrition you're giving it, and the overall toxin stress on your system. So instead of guessing, we get direction. The clarity from this panel is worth far more than the $99 investment, because now you're not just throwing things at your body. We're focusing on what actually matters for you specifically. And then, if your results show that toxins are a major piece of your picture, then we go deeper. That's where the total tox burden comes in. This test looks at 3 major categories: heavy metals, mycotoxins from mold, and environmental toxins. It's not a basic test. It looks at dozens of compounds across all 3 areas, giving us a much clearer picture of what your body is actually carrying. And so I'll tell you, every time I run this test, there's something unexpected. For me personally, it was cesium and thallium. I had no idea my body was even dealing with those. And when I found out that potassium helps move them out of the body, something clicked for me. I had adrenal problems for years. And what do adrenals need as a nutrient? Potassium. Suddenly, so much made sense. For a client, it was very high BPA. She had no idea that storing food in plastic and using a plastic cutting board was affecting her health. It was beautiful to watch because that knowledge gave her power. Simple changes with a lifetime impact. Neither of those results were things we would have guessed. But once you know, you can actually target your approach. When someone runs this test through me, it's not just results. We sit down together, build a real strategy. Where are the toxins coming from? What can your body actually handle right now? How can we begin moving them step by step? because information without a plan just creates overwhelm. Now, I want to talk about mold because this is one of the biggest hidden stressors I see. And here's what most people don't understand. Not all mold exposure is the same. There are two categories, and the approach for each one is completely different. The first is food-based mold. This comes from grains, especially one that has been sitting long-term. Nuts, peanuts, and cashews are the worst for fast mold growth. Coffee, yes, your black gold grows mold quickly. Look for coffee that's organically grown and tested for mold. Corn is a big one. It shows up on my clients' biofeedback scans regularly. Even corn tortilla chips can carry mycotoxins. Don't shoot the messenger. This particularly affects the digestive system. And the good news is it's more straightforward to address, adjusting the diet, supporting digestion, and using the right tools. Environmental mold, that's a different story. This comes from water-damaged buildings, hidden leaks, poor ventilation, and it can impact the lungs, the sinuses, and the brain. Here's the key. If you're still being exposed to environmental mold, your body will not fully clear it. That environment has to be addressed first. I want to share something personal because this isn't just something I've seen with clients. When my husband and I first got married, we lived in a bottom floor apartment. Our bedroom had a sliding glass door with drapes that stayed closed most of the time. We never thought to even look behind them. On our honeymoon, I developed a tickly cough, and it didn't go away. It lingered for months and got so bad I broke 2 ribs coughing. About 6 months into our marriage, my husband became extremely ill, life-threateningly sick. At the time, we had no idea what was going on. We never even thought about the environment we were living in. It wasn't clear until we moved out. I was cleaning, trying to make sure we got our entire deposit back. And I pulled out the drapes near the air conditioner. The wall behind it was completely black with mold. Mold wasn't something people talked about back then. I didn't connect the dots. I just cleaned it and moved on. But looking back now, it changes everything. Because if we hadn't had that exposure early in our marriage, our health journey, and honestly, huge parts of our life could have looked so very different. Let me walk with you through the toxins I see most often and connect them to the symptoms you may be actually living with. Mercury. This comes from dental, silver fillings, and certain fish. It affects the brain, nervous system, lymphatics, hormones, and even how well oxygen gets to your cells. I have a full video on mercury. I'll link it below. Cadmium. Here's one most people don't think about. Brake pads and road dust. Do you live near a freeway? Long commute? This may be one that is very relevant to your situation. Lead. Older homes, old pipes, renovations. If you've lived in or remodeled a home built before 1980s, pay attention to this one. Aluminum. I want to clarify this. It's not technically a heavy metal, but it creates serious neurological stress. It comes from cans, foil, and cookware. The research connecting aluminum to ADD, ADHD, bipolar, and Alzheimer's is something I take very seriously. Now, environmental toxins. BPAs, plastics, food containers, cutting boards. It's a hormone disruptor. And as we saw with my client, you often don't know the source until you test. Glyphosate. This is on our food supply. It disrupts gut function, detox pathways, immune strength. And here's what most people don't know. It mimics a key component of collagen. So it creates weak collagen connections throughout the body. Think bone weakness, tendon tears, muscle pulls, even skin firmness. Phthalates in fragrances and personal care products. These are endocrine disruptors, which mean they interfere directly with your hormones. And mycotoxins, arachotoxin A, aflatoxins. These impact energy production, stress the immune system, and affect the brain, which is why so many women dealing with mold exposure describe feelings like they just can't think. This is where we have to be very intentional. This isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what your body needs in an order it can actually handle. There are tools I love for supporting gentle, effective removal. Zeolite foot baths to bind and remove heavy metals. Not an electric one. Old school, water in a cooler. Silica to support structure and detox pathways. Binders that grab what needs to leave without stripping the nutrition you're working hard to bring in. And this one people often overlook, emotional support tools. As toxins leave the body, there are energy shifts, emotional releases. Those need to be supported. It's not just the physical, but those are the supports, not the starting point. The foundation always comes first. This is where things begin to change. When toxins are addressed the right way, women start to notice more consistent energy, clearer thinking, less inflammation, and feeling like themselves again. Not overnight, but steadily and sustainably. The way healing is supposed to feel. Your body's not working against you. It is protecting you. This whole thing is about protection. Every place has stored something away. Every symptom that finally got your attention, that's wisdom. Now we just need to support it so it can finally release what it's been holding on to. Your body was designed to heal when we remove the blocks and give it what it needs. I work in a format of guided by faith, grounded in wellness. So if you're watching this series, something has clicked for you, I want to encourage you to go back and watch part 1 if you haven't, because this process only works when it's done in order. Each step builds on the one before it. And your body deserves the full foundation, not just pieces of it. Now, if you're wondering whether toxins are even part of your picture, that's exactly what the root cause landscape shows us. It's a simple blood panel, $99, and it gives you a big picture of what's actually going on in your body. Stress patterns, detox capacity, energy production, and whether something like the total tox burden is even your next right step. Because here's the thing, you don't need to detox if toxins aren't a significant part of your issue. But if they are, you absolutely need to know. The link to order the root cause landscape is below. Order it, get your results, and then come join me on the next open house, where we'll walk through what those results actually mean and what your next steps look like. You don't have to keep guessing. You don't have to keep trying things that aren't working. There's a reason you feel the way you feel, and we can find it. If the series has been helpful, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming up next. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with her. She may be one video away from things finally making sense.